Hi, this is Rich. Good morning. Now I want to tell you a story, okay? It's kind of how I see things, but you can sort of think of it as the idea for a good science fiction novel or a screenplay for a new science fiction movie. Because, as I see it, real life, plays out like a wild and crazy science fiction movie, okay? So it goes like this.
Hello, and welcome to the Multidimensional Mission Show, a vlog that investigates strange but true stories, but mostly inspirational ones. I'm your host, the Meat Geek, and also call me Jeremy, and today it's my pleasure to welcome Richard to the show. In my opinion, Richard has a lot of experience on the subject of lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, astral projections, and other mystical, new age subjects. He can be seen on his YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/rich2150x. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'm glad to be here. You got some questions for me? I'm ready to rock and roll.
Fantastic. Well, I've already introduced you, Rich, but Rich, please tell me in your own words, tell us a bit about yourself and how you reached this point in your spiritual growth and development.
Alrighty. I guess it started when I was about, mid-teens, maybe 14, 15 years old. I'm outside. It's at night. I'm walking on the sidewalk and looking up in the sky and I'm going, I have this yearning, just like, I had no clue. I'm a clueless kid. But I just felt that yearning when I look up in the stars like that and get out in the high desert and it's really sparkly and this back in the day when they just jump out at you and it's like so I was always had this attraction that way. So a little bit later, maybe less than a year later, I had the first time I had sleep paralysis. And for those who don't know what that is, it's a state where you fall asleep, but you wake back up, and you're awake, but you can't move your body. It feels paralyzed.
I've had that.
And it will often come with a powerful buzzing sound. So I got that powerful buzzing sound in my head, very scary. I tried to shake myself out of it, and I got out of it. I can get into details about that story later. But basically, what happened was I had my first paranormal experience. I was laying in bed after the sleep paralysis, after the buzzing and the vibrations, and it got real quiet. In other words, I had shifted consciousness from physical reality perception through my physical body to my spiritual perception. And I was perceiving into a non-physical realm.
Wow. Heavy.
And it's super quiet. Yeah, super quiet. And then all of a sudden, piano music started playing. And I'm not musically inclined. I cannot play the piano. I do not hear sounds in my head. But I did this time, and this piano, it's just beautiful, just a ditty, just a riff, and I go, wow. And then following along with it was a saxophone. No, as I recall. So I go, am I doing this? Can I change the tempo? And it changed. And I go, oh. And it was just the piano. And I go, I am doing this. What if I imagined a saxophone? Saxophone started playing with it. It's crystal clear. It's better audio than physical universe audio. And I'm wide awake by it. Totally better. And, so then I changed the pace and all this just with my thoughts. And then I woke up from that. And that was my first experience with that sort of thing. And then later I had a yearning for getting out of body, consciousness shifting, and waking up in another realm. I just knew it had to be something a person could do. I was about 17. I was reading a novel about it. And in the novel, it's Tarl Cabot or something like that, or Carl Tabbitt. And the other one was Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter. These kind of movies.
John Carter,
where they shift to another
a Disney movie about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
Well, you seem to have had it from a very early age, and it just grew and grew, the yearning for the other dimensions. Yeah.
So then I got into the Philippines in 1966, 67, 68. It was either right out of high school, it's either get drafted or join the service of your choice. So I joined the Air Force. I ended up in the Philippines, Clark Air Force Base, and there for a year and a half, and I really wanted to get out of body. That was when I really got the desire to get out. So I started looking into it, and then that's how I got started.
Oh, excellent. So it was in the Philippines that you received that, you started to get the serious interest in out-of-body experiences. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. If I had a tip for viewers, it starts with a passion or a real strong interest. It's more than wanting it. It's not just, hey, I want to have an out-of-body experience. Let me check this out. No, it's just something a little deeper stirs into a person. So I had that yearning for the stars. I had this idea that I just know this is possible from reading these stories when I was a kid. And then I got into the Air Force. Right. So,
excellent.
Then that's where the strong yearning was. So, yeah.
Okay. So Richard, switching gears a bit for a moment, tell us a bit about your YouTube channel. Is it related to the subject of out-of-body experiences and other subjects?
Yeah, my YouTube channel it's predominantly it's all about enlightenment and wake people up, but there's a lot of out-of-body experience stuff. I share techniques and I've had quite a few out-of-body experiences, and it was my passion. So when I started the YouTube channel, that was what it was about. So I started sharing things about how to have an out-of-body experience, all these different things, and people would start asking me questions about it, and I would make videos in response to their questions. And this has been going on for about 3 or 4 years now. And so there's a lot of information about getting out of body, a lot of information in videos on the vibrations that people experience, the sleep paralysis, and a whole lot on people will experience the fear. It's just part of it. And we have to confront that fear and get through it because, in fact, we're invincible, we're immortal, and in spirit body, and we do just fine. But we have to face those fears. That's right. And they're deep. They're in the subconscious. I mean, literally, a person they can go into the sleep paralysis mode. They're trying to have an out-of-body experience. They go into sleep paralysis. They did all the things. And so now they're awake and their body's asleep. And they're trying to get out of their body. And they'll feel something grab their arm or hand.
Yeah. Agitate.
And it will scare the crap out of them. And they'll go, whoa, oh, or they'll fight it.
Or feeling something on your shoulder, grabbing their shoulder. I've had that feeling before.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, it could be a guide helping you.
Yeah. You got to let go of the fear.
Yeah. And it's not as easy as it sounds. No, it's tough.
Yeah.
But it's something to face. I've faced it and I've experienced it, and yeah. And there's a subtle difference sometimes between a fear and just being surprised. It's like whoa. It's like if you saw a vivid image pop up. They're called hypnagogic images.
Right.
They pop up when you're laying in bed.
Images.
Sometimes you would like to look at it longer, but it startles you out of your mode of your concentration or your deep alpha state or theta state, and it snaps you back into beta thinking, that higher vibrational analytical thought, and you go, whoa, and you lose you lose the focus. You lose the higher vibration upon which that image is vibrating in its frequency. So you kind of jump away from it. But it's about facing the fear. Mm-hmm. It's about having the passion and the desire and the stick-to-itiveness, the motivation, and persistence. That's how I was able to do it.
Richard, before
the channel is about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I think a little superfluous side question that's not listed here. Do you feel that people's upbringing, without getting too controversial, but maybe mainstream religions have instilled an unnecessary fear of the unknown, a necessary fear of the astral? Oh, that's the devil, that's demons. Maybe there's maybe we don't really have that much to fear. And then the fear is merely a control mechanism that's preventing us from reaching our full potential. That it's being used by certain groups to scare us from finding out what's beyond the third dimension. Perhaps. Just wondering if.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Precisely. That's my understanding of the situation too. Now, I have a lot of people write to me and share their stories and what do they do. The YouTube channel is also about entities that are people experience. They do get out, or they get partially out, and there's entities. And when we say entities, I don't mean good or bad, evil or benevolent. I'm talking just other life-formed or sentient beings or consciousnesses or he who or that which has a face or a presence. It's an entity. So some of them are good, some of them are bad, or some of them are neutral. And when I say
like people,
bad, some of them are there to help you, and some of them are there to, mess with you a little bit, mischievous.
Yeah.
So entities. What I've noticed though, religion, the people who have the most problem with what they would consider the evil entities are people that are very religious. In other words, they've already grown up with a mindset that these entities do exist and they're evil, and the devil, Lucifer, Satan, these different stories, the hell, heaven and hell and purgatory, and it's a vast subject. The inhabitants of the non-physical realms. Vast. It's like you got places called the lower astral, and different kinds of entities hang out there. And they're without the labels on these levels and planes of existence. A lot of times when a person they'll be trying to get out of body, and they'll get partway out, and their perception shift so they can see in a non-physical realm. They can see the non-physical. You could call it the etheric double or the real-time double of their bedroom. It looks just like their bedroom.
It's like a virtual bedroom.
Yeah, it's like the same place, except it's on a different wavelength, a different vibration. And they're literally juxtaposed or superimposed upon each other. So as you shift, if you're in one vibration and focus, like beta analytical thinking, you're focused on this vibrational physical universe. When you shift your consciousness and your vibration to a higher level, your vibration changes, so your visual changes, and you're seeing this bedroom. If you were to shift it again, you might see yet another bedroom superimposed upon that. And they all look basically the same.
Layers.
But there are differences. Yeah.
Okay.
So these entities, different entities you will find on different levels. So when people experience these encounters, they often are, when they first fall asleep and then wake back up and their body's asleep, what they see is on usually a lower, if they're seeing spooky, creepy looking things, their vibration is very close to the physical. And these kinds of entities hang out very close to the physical vibration. That's why some people, psychic types and people with clairvoyant abilities, can see while they're walking down their own hallway, they'll see an apparition or something. It's they're seeing into that other vibrational density. But we do that a lot when we're trying to get out of body. And they're just strange. They're not harmful. Mm-hmm. They're strange. But they know they can scare you. You're more powerful than they are if you just knew it. And if they knew you knew it, they wouldn't mess with you. So I could talk all day about that. People write into me about that. But
you got to learn to believe in yourself and be strong within. It's interesting how you mentioned about the higher and lower areas, organizations. They talk about the astral, the higher dimensions, and the infra, which is lower. So I'm kind of guessing that's what you're referring to. The higher would be the astral, and the lower astral would be like infra. Some people call it infernal regions, where the creepy crawlies live, the guys who are not so nice, but so good intentions. Surround yourself with loving thoughts, loving images, positive reading material, right? Just focusing on having a better attitude. You often attract, using the power of attraction, you attract good. Same as bad, You attract what you produce, basically. So you can, the astral world will often, right, will reflect you. Often, many times, is what kind of person you are inside will project onto the next dimension that you're going into in your sleep, right?
Right, you're exactly right. That's definitely how it works. Some people have the ability to focus in the various densities. They could have a good heart, but they want to check out, hey, what's the lower astral realms look like? So they can move. So we are flexible in that way. Mm-hmm. But these experiences we have where we just wake up in a place, it's based upon what you just said.
Okay. Yeah. Well, since we're on the subject of astral projection and lucid dreaming and OBs, let's ask the question, Rich, in your opinion, we hear a lot about these subjects. What is the difference between a lucid dream and an astral projection? Just for those who are in the audience who probably don't know the difference, are not familiar with those terms, briefly, or as long as you feel necessary to explain it, please tell us what is the difference between those two things, a lucid dream, a dream which that we can see, we're aware, and an astral projection which we're also aware. So what are the differences of those two things?
Lucid dreaming and astral projection? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Mm-hmm. I get this one a lot. But it's important to know. Now, there's the short answer and the long answer. There's the deep answer and there's the light answer.
Sure.
What are you talking about, Rich? What I'm talking about is, in order to really understand well, you see, an out-of-body experience, when people have an out-of-body experience, they go, man, that was real. Mm-hmm. That was really real. That wasn't no dream. That was real. Okay, so they're using the word real, and they have a certain meaning for the word real, and they know what it means to them. Now, when you talk to somebody else, a friend or a relative, hey, I had an experience last night when my body was asleep, and it was real. It wasn't a dream. So they're using the word real juxtaposed or in opposition to the word dream. They're supposed to be opposites. Okay, so the guy that's listening to the story goes, ooh, it was real, huh? And some people will get it, and some people will go, it's all in your head, man. It's all your imagination. See, okay, so you have to define what is real and what is a dream in order to really define well what is a lucid dream and what is an out-of-body experience. Okay, because even an out-of-body experience, this is a long conversation. We won't take the whole thing to just talk about this. We'll find a place to wrap it up. But
take as long as
what an out-of-body experience is. Well, even the word out-of-body experience it's not so much a misnomer. It's like you've got cars, and then you've got Fords and Chevys and Toyotas, right? So you have consciousness shifting is the general term, like cars, and you have out-of-body experiences, astral projection, dreamscapes, alternate realities, parallel worlds, and all that.
More than just two.
So, yeah. So this is about consciousness shifting. So in order to understand the difference between a lucid dream and an out-of-body experience, you have to understand what we mean by consciousness shifting, and then we have to understand what it means, how awake you are when you shift in consciousness. Because, in fact, it's how awake you are in the now that defines your experience as just a dream or a lucid dream or a consciousness shift into another realm. Okay. So in order to understand that, there's some other distinctions between a dream and another realm. Now, if I'm not making sense yet, let me see if I can start. A dream, the normal definition of the word dream is it's something that you create with your consciousness, subconsciousness, superconsciousness, and the dreamscape is something that you've created yourself. Nobody else is creating it. And your physical body's asleep. That's generally, broad strokes, the definition I think that most people have for dream. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. It's almost like a virtual reality you've created in your head. Some people would call it a video game in your brain, right? Like a realistic simulator. The dream.
Exactly. So that's what we call a dreamscape. And so we can start with that. We create that world. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now it's not real because of a definition we have for what is real, and some people's definition of real is physical reality, physical universe. If you can touch it and feel it and see it while you're in a physical body, it's real. If it's perceivable with the human senses or with instrumentation built in the physical world, then it's real. But if somebody's standing in the room and they see what we'd consider a ghost, they see they're psychic, and they can see it clear as day. Yeah, he's standing right there. He's talking to me, and he really does see it. His friends may say that's not real, and some of his friends might be metaphysical and get that he's psychic and he's seen into another non-real universe or non-real dimension. Okay, so. But it's actual. So you really have to talk about, two people have to get together and discuss the definition of real and reality, because it all ties together, the difference between a lucid dream and an out-of-body experience. Here's how. A lucid dream is the same as a dream. You create it with your own consciousness, just you. But you're more awake. And when you're more awake in your dream, you're more aware and more conscious. So you're more awake, aware, and conscious in a lucid dream. And you're still looking at your own environment that you've created yourself, and you go, you can be asleep in your dream, and it's just like a regular dream, and you wake up in the morning, you remember fragments of it and stuff. But in a lucid dream, while you're in it, you go, whoa, I'm dreaming. The dreamscape doesn't necessarily change. But your consciousness shifts. That's why it's called the consciousness shift. So now you're more wide awake. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And then because you are creating it all yourself, you're able to change the environment with your imagination. Some of it you will be able to change easily, and some of it will be a little more difficult for you to change, depending on how you got it set up. But it's all you. So when you leave and wake up, nothing dissolves. Because you're refocused. Just like you can imagine an apple. Some people can imagine an apple in their hand and see it. Nobody else can, but they can. And then they stop doing it and it just dissolves. It just stops. Okay. So, that's a dream and a lucid dream. Now, the thing about, if you wake up even more, you might say, this isn't a dream. This is an out-of-body experience. What you're doing is, it gets tricky here. Because, as I said before, the word out-of-body experience isn't really a good word for this. It's a consciousness shift yet higher. And you become aware in your lucid dream, whoa, this is more than a dream. I have a physical body in a bedroom in the physical reality system. See how you become even more awake and aware? And your consciousness is more
You're starting to be more critical in your dream. You're starting to question everything.
Yeah, and you realize that I am not located in, and so some people would call that an out-of-body experience. Others would argue that no, he didn't go anywhere. He's still laying in his bed and he's creating this stuff. And yeah, he might be waking up and becoming more expanded in consciousness, but he's not moving out of his body. He didn't move anywhere. But that's a great argument. It doesn't have to be. Instead, let's just look at it as a consciousness shift. Okay? So far, so good. But now, let's say we have the guy that has he goes to bed at night, he does his out-of-body technique stuff, and his body falls asleep, and he stays awake, he gets sleep paralysis, the vibrations first, and then sleep paralysis, and he starts hearing things that are non-physical. Whoa. And he becomes aware, and he rolls out of his body, and let's say it works. And now he's standing up looking at his body, or he stands up and walks out the bedroom, or flies out through the wall. Now we can call that an out-of-body experience, for damn sure, right? If he's wide awake, if he's awake enough, because some people can do that at night, and they'll wake up from it and they go, wow, what a trippy dream. I dreamed I got up and walked through the wall. See, it's how awake they are when it happens. When you are so awake, it just becomes unquestionable that you are really here doing this thing right now. You may or may not have labels for it, but you know you're here doing this, and your physical body's over there in the bed. So most people will call that an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, I've talked to friends who've seen their body. It's quite a shocker for the first time to see your body laying in bed.
Yeah. So
it really clarifies things.
So the difference between the question, I think, is more apt if we say the difference between a dream and an out-of-body experience is a consciousness shift where you become aware that you are not in your physical body, and you're awake and aware, and you know it's real. It's really happening. So that would be a difference. But now, since we're using the word real, we need to look at what is reality and what is real based upon what is a dream. Okay. Because some people will say physical reality is a dream. It's all a dream, man.
Dream within a dream, like an Inception movie.
Exactly. I know people that have done that. Yeah. And I know people that are dream architects. Real people. They've talked to me. They write into me on my channel.
They've created their own world.
So anyway, yeah. Oh, yeah. New subject, but let me wrap this one up real fast.
Sure. Take your time.
The difference between a dream and reality, as I understand it, you don't have to buy this definition, but this is the one that works for me. When a person has a dream, a regular dream, and they're wide awake in it, it's a lucid dream. Now, what if they have that dream with a friend? A friend, they notice a friend, and a real friend. I know people that can have their out-of-body experiences together, or they can do lucid dreams together. So, two people are dreaming this together, or they meet each other in a dream. And so they get up, they wake up from the dream, and they call each other on the phone, and they talk, and they go, yeah, oh man, that was really real. You got agreement that it really happened. So it's more real. But they say, well, it was still a dream. But now, if you had 100 people dream in that dream, and so you've got this dream world becomes more real in that way. Well, and it also becomes more substantial, more like in the astral plane, that realm is created like a dream is created, except for every inhabitant in there on a subconscious level is creating that world. Just like we create our dream world by ourselves, when we get with groups, and we see an environment, this physical reality, it's a dream world that is created by many, many, many different beings together. It's called a consensus reality, and it's a co-created dream. Physical reality is. And so you can't change an object or make it levitate because we're dreaming. In other words, with our imagination or our subconscious, we have the rules in place about physics and such things. So we have agreed to follow the rules. So it's difficult to,
So it's more concrete. It's almost like a, I don't want to say mirror, but it's almost a reflection of third dimensional reality where there is more rules and laws. Like you can't jump like Superman and fly away, but you have to sort of, it's almost like a virtual reality simulator. I got a reality simulator dream.
Yeah, and this whole physical universe can be considered like a holodeck or a virtual reality dream or matrix. So that's a whole other thing we get into. But yeah, so the difference between a lucid dream and an out-of-body experience is how awake you are and who is creating the environment. Also, your own personal definitions on the difference of what is a dream, lucid dream, and out-of-body experience. You just can't argue with that. People go, I've talked to people that they're not going to budge. It's not physical universe, it's not real. It's in your head. So, whatever. But I do know from personal experience and people who have shared with me their personal experiences that there are greater realities, not just one. There are other realms out there that are more real, more touchy-feely than this place is. And when you have an out-of-body experience, you're so wide awake and crystal clear and absolutely sure that it's real. It's not physical. It's real. Difference. So
it's almost like the physical. It's almost like the physical body that we're in right now is limited. We're limited by 5 senses, most of us, and sometimes we go into like half asleep, half awake kind of state where we're kind of going through the day, going to work, repeating the same thing, and we sort of almost shut down some of our senses, or we dull it a bit. But you're saying when we come out of our body and we're like a spirit being, we want to call it, or a being from in another dimension, we seem to be more in touch with sensitivity. We're more aware of the 5 senses and beyond. Is that what you're saying? We can become more in touch with everything, and everything seems fresh, more fresher than this reality.
Absolutely.
Am I using the right words?
Yeah. I've done research in this with people that have some excellent visualization skills. I mean, they can close their eyes and they can visualize things easily. Crystal clear, If visualizing at a 10 was like looking at a 3D holographic look at reality. It's as clear as reality. People can visualize something. And one was like a transparency, like a snapshot, but it's a transparency. You can see right through it. So it's very thin and flimsy. That's a 1. Then we got the 10. I can do these things with people like in a one-on-one, close your eyes, imagine an apple, reach for the apple, withdraw from the apple, touch the apple. I don't go that fast with these commands, and I use more creative commands than those, but basically I do this and I get the person focused, working with their imagery. I have them imagine a classroom, table and chairs and walls and a chalkboard and writing things on the chalkboard, feeling the chalk, all this stuff. And as I do it, I talk in a real quiet, calm voice. Oh, I got certified as a hypnotherapist about 20 years ago or more, but I used what I've learned in that, my understanding of things to that, but I don't
put people in a somnambulist state, is that the term? Almost like a sleepwalking.
Yeah, I bring
half asleep, half awake. I've heard from certain readings that if you are in half asleep, or sleep is like a gateway to the other dimensions. Like when you're sleepy, you can see other things better. Well, it's kind of an obvious thing, but sleep is almost the key to understanding what real reality is. So when you're half asleep.
Exactly. So there I am. I talk and I coach them, and the idea is for them to close their eyes and get relaxed. And when you're first starting out and doing this kind of work, it's even good to stay up really late. Have a long day. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and they're already like this.
Nodding off.
They're nodding off, and I was doing it on the phone. Well, I did it in person, and I did it back on the phone before. I was doing this back in 1992 was when I first started doing this. So the person they're following my lead, and they're touching things and they're feeling things. And what you're working for is that the physical body falls almost asleep. They can still talk to me through it, though. They can go, I can ask them, what color is the wall? They'll go, green. Okay. So they can talk to me, kind of like a hypnotherapist does, but different. So you keep working this, doing different things, and what I'm trying to do is wake them up, but not their body, and increase their consciousness and awareness of their non-physical, self-created, imaginary place. And what happens, not every time, it's not every time's a hit, but what can happen, and it happens often enough, is, boom, they'll shift, and it's real. We check, on the reality scale, or the visual scale, it's a 10, or even 11 or 12. You perceive it better than physical reality. So we got that little scale, and then we got the reality scale, which is different from, some people are very visual. They can see something extremely vivid, a 10 or 12, but it doesn't, the sense of it is not real. It's not real. They know it's an imaginary. Yeah. So we have a reality scale on 1 to 10. How real was it? And 10 is as real as the physical world. I mean, whoa, this is real. Oh my God. And sometimes it can get more real. People are telling me 11 or 12 in reality, and realness. And when we get done with the session, they're going, Rich, that is so real. And what I was going to share with you in the beginning was, I did this with this girl. She's over there. I'm having her touch another person. She's got like a boyfriend over there. Okay. So she imagined a boyfriend, right? Just imaginary, right? She's touching and feeling, and she really loves the guy. And she shifted so far, she's touching his arm, and she's looking into his eyes. He's looking into her eyes.
Wow.
And it shook her up. She said, Rich, I can't do this anymore. She snapped herself out of the state.
It's too much for her to take.
What happened? Yeah, she said it was too real. It was just too real. The love, the touch on his arm, it was more real than here.
But that wasn't really him, was it? Or was it almost like a creation of her, like a virtual reality in her mind or spirit? She's created like an artificial boyfriend, or is that really him?
Well, see, this is where you get to decide. You get to do your research and understanding and decide. What we sorted out doing quite a few of these sessions is no, she's shifting into another realm. Alternate reality, parallel universe, or astral, higher astral, or other. We don't normally do the astral thing. We were doing just belief system territories, doing this kind of work. So yeah, it was real. It was very real. It's like an out-of-body experience. Real. There was another. Yeah, it wasn't physical in that place, but of course, as far as she was concerned. But yeah, but there again, it falls into what is your definition of real? Well, it wasn't a physical guy, so it wasn't real.
Morpheus
Case closed for some people.
Neo, right? What is real?
Yeah, it's like you can swap out the word. A better word is actual. She's actually touching this person. Now, is there a sentient being over there? Well, then it gets so deep and philosophical so fast. Because, yeah, there's a sentient being over there. Yeah, but are you creating that sentient being? If you're in a regular dream and you say, hi, how you doing, buddy? And your buddy goes, hi, how are you? And you have a dream about your best friend and you guys are talking and stuff. Is that a real person or did you create them? Well, most people would say, no, I created them. Okay, so you do have the ability to create other people. They're not in the physical world, but you can create other people and you can even create the consciousness that they are. What? Well, I didn't create that, your buddy, so it must have been you. Okay, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so it's like...
Children create their own friends, right? Have their imaginary friends. So often maybe children create their own little characters in their head when they're very young, because children are very imaginative, more than adults. So maybe a lot of these imaginary friends are often they're creating real life people, creatures, but in their imagination and the other worlds that they're creating, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps, yeah. And they're imaginary and you create them yourself, and it's totally possible to do. You have the ability to create other points from which to view the world and imbue that with life and sentience and give it character and send it on its merry way, if you want. And give it a life of its own, and then it will grow and it becomes a sentient being. We have this kind of ability. This is my understanding of philosophy and life, and for me it's a truth, it's not a belief. But there are people also who can, it's called bilocation. They can be in two places at once.
I've heard yogis doing that in India. At least one yogi in India did that. Two bodies at once.
Yeah, and there's different flavors of bilocation. You can have two physical bodies in two places at once, and they can be aware of each other or not. So there's that flavor. And then they're having the out-of-body experience and seeing from two places at once. It's like the one I did. I was viewing from this point of view, and from this, it was similar to a lucid dream, but it was more than that. It was kind of a little out-of-body experience moment, and I was kissing a girl, and
must have been nice.
it was a good kiss. It was a really good kiss, and I'm kissing this girl, and my consciousness was in her, and it was like I'm the girl feeling the kiss, experiencing the kiss fully.
So it's like empathy. You're feeling empathetic for the girl.
It was bilocation. I was in both bodies.
Wow.
Experiencing it. So to this day, I'm not real sure what that was about. Was that another woman, another girl that I was kissing? Or was I creating both of those myself? I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. It's about the experience, right? And then we interpret it and define it and label it and all that later. But, yeah, those places are more touchy-feely, and you become more conscious and awake and aware. And when you leave this plane, either an out-of-body experience or the body drops dead and you're off doing other things, those worlds, and there's more than one, there's many different kinds, you will end up somewhere. And it's how awake. The question is, how awake are you going to be? And most people are pretty much awake. We get out of the physical body, which is dependent on its wakefulness. There's a lot of factors involved with its wakefulness. You keep a physical body up too long, it's going to not be too awake. If it's taken too many toxic chemicals within its system over a lifetime, it's not going to be as wide awake and sharp and snappy. If it's got, toxins in the brain, fluoride, chlorine, anything like that, too much microwave technology, radiation from monitors and stuff, it's going to slow our perception physically. It's going to impair our ability to perceive things. It's going to make us sleepy and tired to different degrees. Plus what we eat, we're allergic to different things. So we're not as sharp and snappy as we can be without the physical body. We get out of the physical body, we can be like really sharp and snappy. And those worlds are awesome, man. Those just crystal clear, wonderful experiences in these higher planes. And that's where we live when we leave here. We live here for about 80 years. Yeah. We live here for about 80 years. Then how long do you live in a higher realm? And which realm did you go to? And just because you drop dead here doesn't mean you get smarter all of a sudden real quickly.
Yeah.
So it's really good to learn your stuff here. Not about just this physical world, but other densities and realities. And so, because eventually this body may expire, may not. Maybe you'll live to be immortal in this lifetime. But I'm just saying.
So the afterlife is like an extension of what you are in this third dimensional reality. So do your learning now while you still can, because, like you said, you're only going to extend that to the next dimension. If you don't have a spiritual side to yourself right now, if you don't have a belief in the other dimension, you're going to just continue on sort of half asleep in the higher worlds, right? But if you are working toward becoming more like you, more aware of what you are, questioning reality, trying to have lucid dreaming, astral projection over the body, you'll probably be more, it's like a workout, right? You become more muscular in the spiritual world, being more able to be aware of your surroundings and be able to travel, even after your body has died, physical body. Is that what you were saying? That's what you were saying?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yeah. When you leave this plane of existence, wow, and you find yourself somewhere else, what is it? You're going to have a set of beliefs that tell you what you can do or can't do, and you may or may not think outside your box. But if you walk down the street or down the path, literally a dirt road, in your afterlife world, you can walk.
Avast virus database has been updated.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, no worries.
Why, thank you.
Dave?
You can walk. You can walk around in this world for a very long distance. It's linear in that way. And so these afterlife realms, they're vast. But it doesn't mean you can get out of that dimension. You have to think it's possible that there are other dimensional planes of existence.
You have to almost have a leap of faith, right? And if you don't have the faith beyond, like if you don't believe in what's beyond, you will stay in that kind of box thinking unless you're open-minded like you are. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you learn to shift consciousness from one density or plane of existence to another while you're here, you can take that with you. When you go into another plane of existence in your afterlife, or your higher density, if you just do an ascension thing, however you want to play that one out. But you're in your new place, and you go, I'm going to shift consciousness into another realm. And you can. You absolutely can do it. But if you don't believe you can, it never occurs to you to do it. There are people that have their belief systems in place in such that you read about them, anecdotal stories. And I've had some experiences myself. I was in this afterlife place where people go when they drop dead. It was just a little place, a belief system territory it's called. And it was a little, it's like a tavern, like a Dewdrop Inn, a little liquor tavern. And I go, what am I doing here? And it's all dark and foggy and crunch, crunch, crunch. I'm walking over the gravel and I go into this smoky, smells like tobacco a little bit, and it's quiet, and there's about 12 or 13 people in there, and they're all quiet, and they're not very alive and snappy and sharp. Long story short, this is where they went after they dropped dead. They were in their afterlife, and I was brought there by a guide to see what it was like. And I go, oh my God, these guys don't get it. This is where they're comfortable. It's not weird. They're not very keen on what they can do, and so they're just hanging out, trying to figure out what to do next, how life works. How is it that they don't know why they got there, and they're trying to figure it out. They know they dropped dead, though. They know that they're not in the physical world, but what am I doing? I walked back out of there having figured it out, and some guy followed me out and said, hey, what? Can you help me out here? And so I explained, and he explain a little bit of his stuff. And I told him, I just kind of, you can get help. Just ask for somebody your friends or guys to come, and they will show you a better place to be. And he said, okay, thanks. And then I shipped it back to here. But yeah, it's a good idea to learn your stuff here because we can use what we learned here when we go to these other realms. And this isn't the only place to learn. We're always learning. Every experience can be a learning experience. But I'm just saying, we do have an opportunity to learn things here that we don't have in the higher realms. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, Richard, thanks so much for sharing that explanation of the out-of-body experiences and how we're constantly learning, and that we can take that learning to the next level. Richard, if it's okay with you, I want to take a quick break, and then we'll continue on some other interesting subjects right away. So don't go away. You're watching the Multidimensional Mission Show. I'm the Meat Geek, interviewing Richard West.
Thank you.
A gentleman who has a great experience with mystical subjects such as out-of-body experiences, lucid dreaming, and as well as some topics on extraterrestrials and beings from beyond. So don't go away.